What's up, everybody? Stephen A. Smith, ESPN in the house. You know, I travel all over the country. I have an absolutely positively wonderful time covering NBA, covering NFL, covering Major League Baseball. Hell, if you'd be surprised, I might decide to talk about hockey one day. Anything's possible. But I tell you this much. I tell you how you can enjoy yourself. Make sure you watch my man Carl Pratt on Cap Sports. You see it right here. Make sure you check my man out. Support him. Good dude. Take it easy. Peace.
Hi there, everybody, and welcome once again to the Video Sports page. I'm your host, Carl Pratt. Welcome to edition number 1182. During this week's edition of our program, we'll have an opportunity to put some focus on an awful lot of success in our viewing area as far as high school athletic teams are concerned. Every year, you know by now, we have soccer, we have field hockey, we have volleyball tournaments, but there's a brand new format for high school football this year, and we'll talk about some of the teams in our viewing area that have qualified and are now looking for a postseason berth in the high school Super Bowl. I'll spend some time this week with Scott Fry, who doubles as the Panthers head coach and the school's athletic director. During our Meet the Athlete segment, I'll spend some time with Dylan Oxen from Plymouth South. He's had a super career, 15 touchdowns already this year with a bunch of games yet to be played. We'll show you some highlights of the Plymouth North girls soccer team as they took on Sacred Heart earlier this week, Eagles winning that in dominating fashion. And out in Carver, we'll show you some highlights of the boys soccer team who had a convincing victory against Monomoy in the final date of the regular season. It was senior night. And following those highlights, I'll spend some time with head coach Mark Alessandri. But when we want to talk about postseason play, let's talk a little bit more specifically, if we can, about some of the soccer teams in our viewing area. Like at Plymouth North and Plymouth South. The Plymouth South program, under the direction of David Costa, won 1-0 on the final date of the regular season. Their record 7-4-7 going into the tournament. The Plymouth North Eagles, well, they had a 7-0 victory against Sacred Heart this week. It was Nicole Day and Courtney Banzi getting their first ever varsity goals. The Eagles finished up the regular season at 7-5-6. Let's look back now at some of the highlights as the Eagles took on Sacred Heart. Staying with high school soccer, let's talk a little bit, if we can, about the Division II lineup on the boys' side. On Saturday, Duxbury will be in action. Duxbury will go up against Canton. Duxbury, a number of times, year after year, they're in the postseason. 12-5-1, they wrapped up the regular season. Pembroke's the number 9 seed, going to Diamond Regional out of Fall River, the number 8 seed. Meanwhile, in the Division IV field, Sacred Heart is the number 2 seed. Sacred Heart 13-2-1 in the regular season. They'll take on Sturgis West. Holbrook, the number 4 seed, will then take on the Carver Crusaders, who are 12-3-3. Let's take this opportunity to show you some of the highlights of Carver's final regular season matchup earlier this week. Then I'll spend some time with head coach Mark Alessandri.
Mark. Up now, up! No, what? Get up! Get up! Get up! Hey, Connor! Get in! Come on, Josh! Come on, better! Hit him! There it is.
Cut, cut! Luke, get inside of him. Deep. Come on, John. Come on, boys, let's go. Bender. Bender. Let's go get him. Let's go.
Number 3, 59.
Page. I just showed you some highlights of Carver's victory against Monomoy, and now I'm pleased to be joined by fifth-year head coach Mark Alessandri. What a great way to end the regular season.
It's nice to get some momentum to go into the state tournament. It was great for the seniors as well.
Yeah, let's talk. You've had an outstanding season. You got, 12 victories?
Yes, it was a great start. We started out 9-0. Which was, again, another great way to build some experience for the young and inexperienced players. But it was a great way to start the season for this group of seniors.
Let me ask you, what do you know about this team now, Mark, that maybe you didn't know after the second or third week?
Well, I think the fight that they have in them. I mean, it's something every coach wants their team to have. But the number of times that we came back from being down in games, the number of times we came back when we had some adversity, they've got a lot of fight in them.
All right, let me ask you, who 1, 2, 3 kids lead this team? How would you? No coach likes to single kids out, but every team has somebody that stirs the drink.
No, I think we have some leaders in some different positions. Obviously, Tyler Johnson and Kevin Elgervandi up front. They're the primary playmakers and goal scorers for us. Kevin Harkins has done a great job marshaling the defense in the back as the goalkeeper, and then everybody else has kind of stepped up to fill in all the different spots.
Mark, look back in August, early September. What you thought of this team? Did they exceed your expectations?
Well, I never really look at it from the standpoint of what our record's going to be. I always look at it from the standpoint of we want to improve individually and collectively every time we step out on the field. That's our motto. That's what we do every single time. So in terms of every game, I think we learned something from everything, and we had a great season, and I'm very proud and very happy for the guys.
You've coached a number of different kids over the years, a lot of kids with various high school sports. How much fun is it having a successful season, know you're going into the tournament?
Well, again, I think it just looks from the standpoint with this group of kids, it's the best 2 hours of my day. So to be with these guys, knowing how much they put into it and how much it means to them, yeah, that's a perfect sentiment, a way to express it.
And a perfect way to see how the video sports page works. This guy's got to leave. It's senior night. They recognize the girls' varsity soccer program, the boys' varsity program over on the football field. Under the lights, he should have left 3 minutes ago, but he gave us time. That's why the video sports page works. That's why you're a successful coach working with the kids in our program. Mark, we appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
All right, Mark Alessandri joining us this week on the video sports page. We'll continue with more, so stay with us.
It's Elliot from Jordan's Furniture here at Fenway Park. I've always been a great Red Sox fan. But if you really want to have some fun, watch the high school game of the week with Kyle Pratt at Cap Sports for a really great time, because you know, when you watch him, you never know what's going to happen.
Well, let's talk about one of the more outstanding teams, not only in our viewing area, but throughout the state. It's the Silver Lake boys soccer team. 17-0-1 this regular season. Thus, they earn the number 1 seed in their field, Division I. Silver Lake will take on the winner of Milton and Xaverian, and that'll be Sunday afternoon at Sirico Field in Kingston. Well, we've got the high school football playoffs beginning on Friday. Lots of teams in our viewing area set to get going. For more on that, let's go to the interview I had earlier this week with Panthers head coach Scott Fry. All right, let's move along with this week's edition of our program. It's a big weekend for several teams in our viewing area. The Silver Lake Lakers, the Duxbury Green Dragons, the Plymouth North Eagles, and of course, the Plymouth South Panthers. It's the postseason under the brand new 2-year trial format. Scott Fry, I'll tell you, after what happened last year, you must be so anxious to now have another playoff game.
It really is. You know, it's kind of like the second season, especially after last year and the exciting finish we had against Nauset, and obviously playing real well against a phenomenal Natick team. I think our team has been looking forward to this part of the season right from the beginning.
And you took care of the first part of business, second year in a row ACL champs. You got to be pleased with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, last year was obviously exciting, winning it the first year, and the expectations were a little different this year. No sneaking up on people, and having a target on your back certainly made things interesting this year.
You had only one loss. That was to DY in the regular season, but you didn't have your big stud, Dylan Oxen, playing in that game. Things might have been a lot different if he was healthy.
Yeah, you know, who knows? I mean, he didn't play, and Anthony Shannon didn't play, and I mean, playing in DY is a good football team, so who knows what would have happened. I can't take anything away from them. They're a quality team. They've won the league, you know, quite a few years since I've been here.
Let's talk a little bit about this team. What do you know about this team now? I mean, as you mentioned, you come into this season, the kids maybe, I don't want to use the word cocky, but a little swagger this year, coming in as defending league champs.
Yeah, I mean, they read the papers and the social media and everything else that goes into a season. Sometimes I wish they wouldn't, but I'm afraid they do. You know, and again, the expectations were very high for this team, and I think they expected to do a lot this year, and they haven't really let me down or the school or the town down. I mean, we won the ACL. We're number 1 seed. We're hosts for as long as we can win. So we accomplished our goals, and we're ready to play Sharon.
How about for you? You've coached for so many years. How much fun is this now? Now, second year in a row winning the league. You're in the playoffs for the second year in a row. And South is on the map now. It's not the step system.
Yeah, you know, it's a pretty neat feeling around here. And honestly, not just in football. I mean, we have 4 tournament teams this year. And 4 or 5 years ago, we were lucky to have 1 tournament team. So it's not just a football program. It's all the programs at South are doing just an incredible job.
So quickly, give me a name. We know about Dylan Oxen. We know about Shenna. But as far as the coach is concerned, there's got to be 1 or 2 kids that really stepped it up this year. And I'm not talking about the kids you expected to come back and the company line, but you and the coaches sit in there after a game or after a practice and say, wow, this kid really gave us something.
You know, and this is a kid that's, you know, started for us for 2 years, 3 years. But, you know, if I had to think of anybody that kind of makes this team go and gets really no recognition at all and doesn't carry the ball and, you know, on offense and plays middle linebacker for on defense, and the emotional leader on the team is going to be Matt Bremis. I mean, he is a captain. He doesn't go underneath the radar for our coaches or probably the opponents, but people probably don't hear his name because he probably carries the ball. If he carries the ball once or twice a game, that's a lot. But he never comes off the field for us on both sides of the ball. And he's basically like a lineman for Dylan, and we're so lucky to have him.
All right, so let's switch gears real quickly. Give me a scouting report on Sharon.
You know, Sharon's, you know, they may not have the wins that some of the other teams have in the tournament, but they're in the Hockomock League, which is probably one of the better Division III programs around, leagues and programs around. They play teams like Oliver Ames and Stoughton and some good football teams. So their record may not show that they've probably come across as well as they would have liked, but they are a state championship team from last year.
All right. Now we're going to switch gears. We're going to take Coach Scott Fry out of this body, and we're going to put Athletic Director Scott Fry in this body. And if my memory serves me correctly, it's the football team in the postseason. It's the volleyball team in the postseason. It's the girls soccer team in the postseason, and the field hockey team just qualified.
Now, how cool is that? We got 4 or 5 teams in the tournament. Like I said, a few years ago, we were lucky to have 1 team in the tournament. It's such a neat feeling around here, and the accomplishments of the programs. You know, specifically the girls programs have been so strong for years. And a volleyball team with 1 loss and a field hockey team 4 or 5 years ago couldn't score a goal, and now they're getting 8 and 9 wins. I mean, the distance in the programs, how far they've come, is just a tribute to the kids and the coaches.
And it just means that after a football practice, you're hanging around and you're saying, honey, I'm not even going to be home for supper. I'm not going to watch the Red Sox that get over at 1 because I'll be locking up the school. But on a serious note, how about the idea of Coach Finn and winning the first volleyball championship? And she's really put her mark on that. 5 straight years qualifying for the tournament. But this year had an incredible season.
Yeah, she's really changed that whole program around. And, it's just a competitive varsity program now that, is probably one of the better runs around that nobody really knows about yet. But she's done a great job with that program.
And how about David Costa with his team? He's got more ties than wins, or at least pretty close.
I know we just clinched last night against Nauset, and I think that's 6 or 7 years in a row for the girls program to make the tournament. So the expectations there is to make the tournament every year.
And what about the pressure on the girls' field hockey team to come down to almost the last game of the regular season or the last game to get in?
Just again, speaks volumes of those girls, and they have like 3 or 4 All-Stars that are juniors, so their better year might be next year. So again, another tournament team, and just says again so much for these programs.
Well, congratulations, Scott, because you spearhead this program as the athletic director. The football team, as you mentioned, is just a small part, but an integral part. And congratulations once again on another league championship, and of course the playoff situation. And it's going to be a lot more fun to have a home playoff game than to play in the rain like you did last year and find out I'll check the balls before the game.
Absolutely. Let's just hope everything goes right the next 2 weeks, and maybe we'll meet up with crosstown rival Plymouth North on the 15th. That would be fun.
And we certainly talked about that several months ago, and guess what? It could come to fruition. Listen, congratulations. I'll let you get back with the kids, and thanks for your time.
Great. Thanks, Kyle.
You bet. All right, head coach Scott Fry joining us this week on the Video Sports Page. Once again, his Panthers at home Friday night, and at least you don't have a 4 o'clock start. Maybe you'll get a lot more fans.
We haven't had a home game in over a month, so hopefully it'll be exciting. Hoping the weather cooperates.
All right, Scott Fry joining us. We'll continue with more, so stay with us. Okay, so let's give you the schedule for Friday night. Plymouth North will host Nauset, a team they dominated towards the end of the regular season. Duxbury will go to Needham for a 7 o'clock kickoff. Dartmouth will go to Silver Lake. Dartmouth 3-4 will take on the Lakers, who are 4-2. All right, Silver Lake's first postseason appearance in football since 1980. All right, let's continue with this week's edition of our program. Let's have our Meet the Athlete segment. Let's roll the interview I had earlier this week with Dylan Oxen. Okay, let's continue with this week's edition of the Video Sports Page. It's another one of those Meet the Athlete segments. And here's one of the captains for the Plymouth South varsity football team, Dylan Oxen. If you've read the papers over the last 3 years, he should be no stranger to you, and certainly no stranger to success. And boy, your career is flying by.
It is. It seems like yesterday I was a freshman.
Let's talk a little bit, if we can. You've put up some incredible numbers, over 2,000 yards rushing last year, 40 touchdowns. Do you even amaze yourself sometimes when you go home and you say, wow?
Well, sometimes. It's all part of the team. I mean, you see a couple kids got the numbers I do, but up here in Mass, it's not that common. But we have great linemen to get me there.
Let's talk a little bit, if we can, though, about what makes you successful. In your own mind, if you had to describe Dylan Oxen as a running back or an offensive football player, what would you say you are?
Well, I'm very well-rounded. I am fast, but I'm not going to outrun. I'm not a track kid. So I have the speed to break runs, but I can also put my head down and run people over. I feel like that's a lot of success because of how I've worked in the weight room and how I've trained.
Let's talk, if we can, all right? As a freshman, you scored 36 touchdowns, had a handful as a sophomore on the varsity level. Then, of course, last year, 40 touchdowns. 5 touchdowns alone in that big playoff game against Needham.
Yeah, Natick. It was a big game. That's what kind of set the tempo, is because people would say, oh, those are just ACL teams that he's scoring all these points on. So to go out there and do that to a playoff team, Natick, who made it to the Super Bowl, that was really important to me.
All right, Dylan Oxen joining me this week on our Meet the Athletes segment. This season alone, 15 touchdowns and still a handful of football games to go. One of those you threw a pass, so you're showing some versatility.
Yep, and 2 interceptions.
There you go. All right, congratulations. Let's talk a little bit, if we can. I talked about the football season flying by. How about your high school career? When you're playing football and you're playing sports, how quick it just races by?
It goes by faster than you can imagine. I look forward to high school football every single year. I don't like winter. I don't like spring. Summer, all I'm doing is training for football. So it comes fast and it also ends fast.
Talk about the balance, because you not only get it done on the football field, you get it done in the classroom, a member of the National Honor Society, which I'm sure makes your coach and your family more proud than any touchdown you ever score.
I mean, if you're not good in the classroom, what you do on the field doesn't matter. What you do on the field is going to get you further in life and into college.
And obviously, with the great success and the numbers you've put up as an athlete, there's got to be a lot of interest, and people are saying, hey, Dylan, we'd like you to play on our team. What's the stack of letters like, the intent letters, this big or this big?
I mean, it's pretty big, but I mean, so far a lot of it's just interest, just a lot of interest from mainly D1AA. You got your 2s and 3s, but I would like to go D1AA. No offers have been sent out yet, but definitely a lot of interest in the big stack of papers.
Well, we all know what happened a year ago. A lot of controversy surrounding the playoff game that Plymouth South was involved in after capturing their first ever ACL championship. Well, now you back that up with another ACL championship. How anxious are you, the coaching staff, and the players that were on that team a year ago, anxious to get a playoff game?
Well, we definitely didn't win the ACL how we wanted to. Yes, we won it, but a 14-0 win over Falmouth, that's not how we wanted to win it. Definitely not as exciting as the Nauset win. So we're definitely amped up. We're very excited at practice right now. We picked it up. We decided that we need to practice like we're going to play, and that's what we're going to do.
And let's talk about it. How much were you thinking to finally say, hey, let's get back to the playoffs after what happened last year?
Well, we knew that it was going to be a competitive league this year. It was. We didn't go undefeated in the league this year. We lost to DY, but we did.
But you didn't play.
I didn't play in that game, but we did what we needed to do in the other ACL games, and we came out on top.
All right, so before I let you sneak away quickly, what are you going to remember most about Plymouth South? What teacher stands out to you that you're going to think back in your days as a parent or a college player and say, boy, I'm glad I had him or her?
Well, I mean, obviously, all the coaches are like that to me. I mean, Coach Hardy I've been with since I was about 8 years old in youth. I've actually been in the classroom with Coach Fruzetti, who's been here with us, and Coach Fry helps me out with everything. So it's a very good core group of coaches.
Well, listen, we enjoyed spending some time with you. We want to wish you good luck on Friday night, first round of the playoffs. You got a chance to have a handful more home games, and that could be a lot of fun.
Yes, I will. Thank you.
All right, joining me this week on our Meet the Athlete segment, this is Dylan Oxen joining us on the program, a 15-touchdown performer so far this year, 40 a year ago. He'll lead the Panthers opposite their opponent coming up this weekend in the first round of the postseason. We'll continue with more, so stay with us. Okay, before we close this week's edition of our program, let's congratulate the Plymouth South volleyball program, one of the top seeds in its division. They win their first ever league championship this year, the ACL title, but they're in the postseason for the 5th year in a row under the direction of Coach Finn. And Coach Carolyn Finn's team had an outstanding regular season, lost just one game. They're going to go in as the number 3 seed. They get a first-round bye. They'll have their first-round tournament game on Monday. All right, we're just about out of time. We'd like to thank you for yours and invite you back with us again next week for another edition of the Video Sports Page. I've been your host, Carl Pratt. Health and wisdom from the Video Sports Page.